Hello YouTubers, it's Dave with Smize Flies, getting ready to do another how-to pattern. Today it's going to be a golden stonefly, or a hyper-realistic one actually, and it's going to be made with a Pro Sportfisher stonefly kit, which is something that is pretty neat. So I've already laid my thread bed down. The next step would be to get a few turkey biots. I'm choosing turkey because I have a pretty big hook in the vise. I went a little larger for creating the video purposes, because these can be timely. This might be a little bit longer of a video than usual, but we're going to get it done. So these are the turkey biots, and I get these through Magpie Materials. I feel like they've got probably the best looking turkey biots. I feel like they're very selective about what they put on their site. They get a lot of good stuff there. Them and Fulling Mills. A lot of Spirit River stuff is nice. But anyway, we're talking about Magpie Materials, and these are their turkey biots. I think they're $5 a pack, and you get like three whole stems, I guess you would call them. And that equates to hundreds, literally hundreds of biots. And I pulled a little portion of it off, which is definitely going to be more than the two that I need, so that's okay, but because I set the extra materials off to the side, that way I don't have to dig the pack out and go through trying to find something every single time. That's what's nice about having these little sections in my Regal pedestal. So there's one of them, and I look at them and I look for them to be curved. So they curve kind of this way, and I like to put the part that's curved into the outside, simply because I feel like it makes it a little bit easier to make it splay out some. Which there's other tricks to doing that, and I'm not even using a trick. I'm just tying them in, and I'm going to make it happen regardless. Like that, it's already done. It's all in how you tie it in and how you hold it, and yeah, it's timing. A lot of timing involved, but there's one biot in. I think this is just a single biot. Yes, it is. No, it's not. It's two. See, they're tricky. They can get tricky unless it's split on me. That was just a little split, so that's okay. We're still in business. And then I like to put it, and I push it against the shank of the hook and make sure it's going to be about the same length at the back. And then I'll hold it right to the shank with my finger and thumb on my left hand while I'm wrapping with my right. And then I'll let go, and I'll grab a hold of the single biot that I'm tying in, and I'll wrap back. And once I get back towards the back, I'll take it and I will pick it straight up towards the sky. And I feel that helps me to get them to stand out and display a little bit. Now, other people will put a little bit of a ball of thread at the back of the hook and tie on each side of that, and let the dubbing there, or the thread, whatever you may use, to build that little bump back there. A lot of people will use that to let it splay out. There's so many different ways you can do it, but this is my preferred method. And again, that's just my personal, what I like to do. You can do it however you want to. So I've got it all tied in nice and neat. Okay, so the next step, this is going to be a golden stonefly, since that's what that kit is made for. They do black, brown, and golden. And for the site that I ordered them from, all they had left was golden. So that's what I went with. Otherwise, I probably would have went with black, to be honest with you. But, really that doesn't even matter. The beauty of this is in the end, the end process. These things turn out so beautiful. It's almost an unbelievable thing. I can't believe that they thought of this, and they put all the time and thought into making this what they've made it into. I really like it. And I will tie it in there. I don't worry about wrapping it the whole way to the front, because I'm just going to kind of do single wraps the whole way back here. And I'm going to take it the whole way back to, right about to where the bends start, where the shank, the top of the hook, this part right here, until it starts bending down. Because you're going to wrap back a little further than that because of the thickness of the bug yarn I'm using. And then I'm going to take the time and I'm going to come up front and I'm going to wrap this in too, just because I'm trying to build up a little bit of a, not even a body taper, just a little bit of a body, you know. So, plus, you know, waste not, want not, right? No use in cutting that off and wasting it if I don't have to. I'm going to have to cut a little bit off, but for the most part, I'm going to try to save as much of it as I can. And sometimes when you get to the end and you have a tag end like this, that's a little longer, you can fold it back over and wrap it back too to save the materials. If you want to, that's up to you. Most of the tyers I know don't give two craps about the materials, you know, other than to make the fly. If you got to waste it, you got to waste it. That's just kind of what happens. So, but anyway, thank you guys for being here, and I'm glad you're here to check out the video. I enjoy making these videos for you guys. I hope they help out. Instead of just doing any random videos, I chose to do how-tos to try to help anybody out there that, you know, probably beginners that need a little bit of help, somebody to guide them through a few things, share them a few tips and tricks. So that's why I chose to do this part instead of, I don't know, anything else I could have done on YouTube. I enjoy doing the how-tos right now. And I'm still an intermediate tyer. I can tie some nice flies, don't get me wrong, but I still, practice makes perfect, you know. There'll be guys out there that'll be tying for 30 years and tell you they're learning something new every day, and it's no joke. There's a lot to learn when it comes to fly tying, especially with all the materials that are coming out, the synthetics and such. It really makes it a lot of fun in one way. In another way, it gets darn expensive because, you know, after a while, at least for me, I became addicted to the materials. So I'm constantly buying more materials to try new things and new ways. Like I already had a stonefly perfected to the way I wanted it. But then they come out with something like this and I had to check it out. And man, it makes a beautiful stonefly. Not that, because I am a production tyer, so, which means I tie for shops. And I would never be able to afford to make my stoneflies this way. I would have to jump my price up way more than what I'm charging right now just to be able to do my thing. So you won't see these on my production flies. I make them, I have a pattern that I have locked down for this. And all that matters to me is that the boss man likes what I do. He likes it a lot. My stoneflies end up looking really good. He's been getting a lot of compliments on them. And, I mean, that's what it's all about. I wasn't expecting to get compliments. I was just expecting to tie a nice fly for the shop and for the fly fishermen. And, well, it turned out that they're really loving them. So, I'm not going to switch that pattern up on anybody. Like I said, I couldn't afford to use these anyway. It costs, you can get a kit, it's called the Pro Sportfisher Stonefly Packs, Stonefly Kits. And if you wanted to look them up and you wanted to get some for yourself, they're easy to find. They're $14.99, and it gives you enough to do 14 flies. So it's a little over $1 a piece just for that part of the materials. And then, you know, you've got yarn you got to use and resin that you use, and there's other materials that you use. And by the time you're done, you probably got, I'd have to say, somewhere in the neighborhood of $2.50, $3 in each fly. And when I'm production tying, I'm charging $1.50 a fly for the one shop, and then the other shop is $22 a dozen, but which is less than the going rate, believe me. But the guy that I'm tying for that gives me the big orders, he only charges $2.25 per fly. So I kind of had to adjust my prices, and I told him I would, as long as he would make sure that I was kept busy and that he would give me big orders. And so far he's given me a 200 dozen order, and this last one was 113 dozen. And he's talking about 2 more orders yet for the rest of the season, being 50 each. So basically, he's given me 2 orders so far that are a little over 200 dozen. So that makes it worth my while. Oops, I got to unwrap this, guys. I'm sorry. I wasn't really thinking there. I'll show you the reason why I'm unwrapping here in a second. I tied in wire because I'm just so used to using wire for my body, for the segmentation. But on this one, I don't have to because of the kit. That's the hard thing for me. I'm so used to tie-in production that I've tied hundreds of dozens of my stonefly patterns, and you kind of get into the groove of doing the same thing. Anyhow, this is part of the kit. It comes with these, which is to wrap up. This is for your body. And I think they've got them pretty well placed. Okay, that one's not going to work because I did something I shouldn't have done. Okay, we're going to pull this one out. Hopefully it comes out pretty easy. There it is. And now it's kind of stuck on there in like 3 spots. It's what do they call that? Serrated, I guess. And we get to the other end and we pull it off, and there they are. This is what they look like. Just so you know. It's like all golden color with a black end to it, you know. And when I'm tying them in, I like to tie them so the shiny side comes up and the black is towards the back. So I got to come back to the back again. And I think I'm going to stop right there and get a good tie-in. Right there. I'll wrap it backwards. Caution to you guys, don't be pulling on this like don't pull it backwards when you're doing it, because what will happen is you'll let go and it'll curl up in a ball, kind of like I just had one do that on me like that. It'll do this thing. It'll, you know. And I mean, you can fix that. That's the reason why I saved it. I'll be able to fix it, but I pulled on it too hard and it made it curl up kind of like a ribbon would do. But anyhow, back up to the middle of the fly. So on these flies, half the fly is going to be the tail and the rear and the body, and the other half is going to be the thorax and the rest of the fly, the legs and such. So I want to get this stuff in here. And I want it to go clear to the back of the fly. I didn't want it to affect that biot though. So it's a picky thing, but you don't want the black showing through from the thread underneath. So you really got to work to make sure that doesn't happen. So there we go. That's perfect. See, it slips forward because of the jaws. I have to pull the thread around or the yarn around the jaws, and it makes it pull over a little bit. But I seem to have gotten it where I need it to be. So back to my second wrapping of the body. Okay. And you'll notice that when I get there, I won't cut out. I'll leave my thread there because I have to build the front yet. So the thorax area. So there that is. That's pretty much halfway. That's something I like to do is when I wrap like that, when I'm wrapping my thread, I'll wrap over this way, and then I grab it and hold it against my bobbin so it doesn't come unwrapped on me, which it's not going to now. I've got enough wraps there that should be beautiful. So now I'm going to take this and pull this back out of the way. Well, I'm going to try. I have to stick it in my material clip quick, which sometimes I don't like doing that because sometimes it's hard to get it out. But anyway, now I want to look and I want to see, yeah, I like that side. And black towards, yep. Okay, I can't do that just yet. I'm going to have to stay up front for a minute until I get this wrapped. Okay, you can just hang there and stay out of my way. And not quite that way. I want this towards the back. Why is that not working for me? Being contrary, but that's okay. I'm used to it. You just have to fight against it. So there you go. You start taking the wraps, and you kind of, when you're wrapping it, you'll see where the part closest to the front of the fly is, and you wrap the black just barely on the last wrap to get and that black is going to make the segmentation look, which I think it's really neat. Pro Sport Fisher, give you guys kudos for making this kit because I feel you guys did a beautiful job with it. I think it's just so neat. And it was worth the $14.99 for those of you who are just tying for yourselves or tying for, something beautiful. It works great for that. But for the production tire, not going to work. It's just too expensive. Unless you're charging a butt ton for your flies, which some people can. Some people have built their reputation up to where they name a price and people are paying it. That's just how it is. But I'm not at that level yet. Don't know if I ever will be. I do this for fun. This has probably been the best hobby I've ever had in my life. I did it 20-some years ago until my stuff got stolen, and I quit. And then I started watching TikTok. I downloaded TikTok, And I see this fellow with the blue shirt on and sitting there tying these flies, and I was like, oh my God, I used to do that. My memory has been taken from all the surgeries, infections I've had, surgeries and infections. And anyway, to make a long story short, I got to know who that was. That was Brian, the flysmith. And him and I have become very good friends. He sent me like, I'd have to say anywhere between $300 and $5,500 worth of materials to get me started again out of the kindness of his heart, which, what a gesture that was. I can't believe it. Still every day I'm like so thankful that he did it, because it's again, it's my favorite hobby, and I needed something because I had lost both my legs below the knee and I couldn't fish anymore. So I was kind of lost. I didn't know what to do, kind of like a fish out of the water, no pun intended. But long story short, this hobby has really filled the void in my life. Brian doesn't understand how much it meant to me that he did what he did, and I have been doing my best to let him see that he didn't make a mistake in me, that I've been tying pretty much, well, dang near every day since he gave it to me over a year ago. And finally built a name for myself. I got a little bit of a name going in my area, and it's just something to be proud of, I guess. But anyway, I'm wrapping that thread up front here, and the reason why is I'm building thorax, and then I'm going to get in here and snip this as close as I can, and that's an advantage of having these flysmith scissors. These things are wicked sharp. Okay, so we're going to come back over here now, and now's the time where I'm going to have to come back a little bit, but it's not going to matter because you're not going to see anything at the end result. Now I need to remember which is which. Okay. And here's the card with the legs on it, with the body and the legs. It's a two-part thing. And when you're picking them off, you want to really pick them off nice and easy. Don't stretch them, because you'll get that same situation I just showed you with it, trying to wrap up into a ball and making it hard for you to tie in. And the first set of legs, you usually want to start it like right behind the eye of the fly, right there, right behind the eye of the hook. And if that doesn't work right out, you go back to where, right about there, where your thread, or I'm sorry, where your body, where you're meeting the back part of the fly. So you're covering everything up. And there's the first one in. And then I'll route forward with this to about there. And these are numbered. They're number 1, 2, and 3 there. It's pretty easy to do. So in what you do when you're tying it, you're tying them backwards, 3, 2, 1. Which it's really neat. It really is. If you guys ever do get these, you'll see what I mean. Pro sport fisher really put a lot of thought into this and made what I think is one of just an incredible product. I really like them. I got these from Dakota Angler online, $14.99, and that's about the going price everywhere. Everybody seems to be charging the same amount. I saw one for $5.99, but I don't think it's the whole kit. I think it's just the back, the legs here and what the back, which they're all one thing here. So I got number 2 in. Now I'm going to number 1. And that popped right off. Now this one's a little different. You want to tie it in backwards. You want to tie it in like this, kind of upside down and backwards, because you're going to pull that back to make it go into place. And yeah. And you're going to take your time to make sure you get it where you want it. And when you're folding it back, you want it to come back just far enough to be able to push it forward a little bit and use your thread to create what would look like the eyes or the head, like that. And it'll be more accentuated once I put the resin in. So now I'm going to skip up and get ahead to the right behind the eye and building a thread head, if you will. Not that it's needed on this one because the head's already there. It's just not really easy to see. As a matter of fact, this is what they look like when they're done. This is done on the size 8. I should probably get my tweezers to give you a better view of it. But this is what they look like when you get them done and resined. And I mean, they are nice. I have a TikTok account called Smize Flies 2. And I have these pictured over there with a bunch of my other flies. A lot of my work. I couldn't even tell you how many flies I've taken pictures of and put up over there. There's a pile of them. But I'm just going to set this down here for now. Now that I got that tied in, and I'm looking and trying to make sure the legs are nice and even. And that is the end of that fly. It's just that quick. So now you take it, and it's whip finish time. which I'm going to do a double whip finish because just in case somebody might be having troubles doing a whip finish, I'll give you a little bit of show you how I do it. You want to get maybe 4 to 6 inches of thread out. You take the hook. You see how this is? You take the hook part and you stick it into the thread. And then you turn it, vertical, I guess you could say. And then wrap this into that little groove on the back. And then you pull it up, and now you'll see like an upside down 4. And I pull it down right to where I want it. And then I go 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 wraps, and then you come in and you pop it off of there. You pull your bobbin up and get that against the hook, and then boom. And I give it a couple wiggles to make sure the knot's good and tight. And then snip it out. There's that. And I'm going to have to mess with my biots a little bit. I shouldn't have to. If I would have put a little thread dam in there, I wouldn't have this problems. But, I managed to prevail. So there's that. Okay, so this is UV Craft resin. You can find this online if you look it up. This is really good resin. It's got a really nice small brush to it. And it's a thin resin, and it'll soak right into your thread fast. I'm going to go through and try to... So if you've got a bunch of hair sticking up on it, you can take your lighter and flash by it real quick. Not long enough to melt anything, but, And I'll do that again after I do the resin because these hairs tend to pop out of nowhere on you. As a matter of fact, I'm going to take a second. And you just have to wave it by. You don't want to do too much because you'll melt your arms and everything. You'll have all kinds of troubles. So there's that. Now, I usually wipe a lot of this off because a lot of the resin will stay on this white part, the white shaft part, and then it'll run down and you'll have too much. And you don't want too much resin. You want just enough. And I usually go sideways with it. Then I will dip again and clean my brush off again. And then I'll turn it over. And I'll work slowly onto the sides. Just making sure that you're getting full coverage. Because what the resin is going to do is it's going to make this body and this fly, anything that you coat with resin is going to make it literally impervious. You're not going to be able to hurt this. It's not going to break. It's not going to come apart. This stuff's making it, you're basically casing it in. And there's that, which I'm going to go ahead and cure that part. Little slow spin of my Regal vise. I've got an old school Regal from the 70s. Actually, I have 2 of them. Lucky enough that a guy named Terry on here on TikTok, he became a buddy of mine, and he has sent me 2 of them out of the kindness of his heart. Just because one day we were having a conversation, and he asked me what my favorite vise I've ever used was, and I told him the truth, which was the Regal that I got stolen. And he was like, "Oh, it got stolen from you." I said, "Yeah, clear back in like 90s." And it was during the time where I was having back troubles, which was taking me away from fly fishing. So I was focused more on tying, trying to stick with the hobby because it's a hobby that I love so much and I like to promote. And we got going back and forth, and the next thing you know, he wanted my address, and he sent me this, and oh goodness, glue bottles, and he sent me some resin, and he sent me some marabou, some select marabou, like a 5-foot piece of it, which I sent some of that out to the fly smith because he's done so much for me. So if I have a chance to do something for him, I do it. And I'm going to cure these quick. Oh yeah, I love what I'm seeing. I really like what I'm seeing right now. And if you look at that, you can see how it's got the bumps in it. Now what I'll do is I build up a little bit more resin in this area than anywhere else. Just because it's something I prefer to do. It's not necessarily something you have to do, but I prefer to do it so it looks, I don't know, cohesive. It looks good, it looks like it's meant to be. And if you get too much on top, don't be afraid to have that happen. What you do is you turn your vise upside down, and let gravity do its thing. You go like that and do this. And I'm curing it a little longer than most people would, and the reason why is because if you do a quick cure, anything that's underneath is still going to be a little bit wet, so you really want to, give it a good cure. And then I look at it, and I still see bumps in between each set of legs. So that's not going to hurt a darn thing. Actually, it probably doesn't hurt to have it there. It makes it maybe even look more realistic. But I like to have it covered to where there's no bumping areas, no area where you can see the separation. And I think that's going to do it right there. Just, well, almost. One more little, if I could just get a drop to go there, that would be nice. Right there, and cure it quick. There it is. Now I can spread this all out. Now I've got it. Wait till you see this when it's done. It does make a big difference. And I like to have a drop back here between the body and the legs. So I'm going to let this go till it gives me a, maybe I get down in there, and there we go. There's a drop right. Damn it, it went in the wrong spot, but that's okay. I'll just rub that around. I want one right there. Cure. Come back and try to get another one to go there. There it is. Well, it soaked into the thread a little bit. That's what's great about this resin. It will soak right into the thread. I mean, when you cure it after you put it into your thread, when you're at the head, like right behind the eye where you're supposed to do, a lot of people use head cement. I kind of use resin in almost all those applications. And we all have our reasons for why we do things. I like it because I just feel it, I don't know, I'm not going to say it works better than head cement, but I just like the look of it. And I know, especially with this resin, I know that it's gonna make that, like, what's the word? I'm petrified. You can't, when you put this stuff on there and you cure it, there's nothing going to happen. There's not going to be no tomfoolery going on. It's gonna hang right in there. And now I've got a nice little bridge kind of thing built right there. Just not quite enough yet.
Where's Mom?
Inner room. There's this. Cure that. And there it is. That is a golden stonefly, which I'm going to do a little bit more resin work because I see some things that I would call imperfections. So I haven't hit the thread yet, so that's what this is. I'm hitting the thread knot right now, and it builds a little head. If you can see that, that's the purpose of the whole deal for me. I like the idea of having a head right there. And there we go. I'm done with the resin for now. I'm kind of going into overkill. You don't need to do as much as I did. Actually, I am going to go back, and I am going to put one more small coat on the body. Not the front, but the body back here. Just to build it up a tiny little bit like that. That's all I need. And you can see that smoke, and that's because this is an amazing 980 nanometer cure light. Make sure when you buy your cure lights for your resin, you get 980 nanometers. Because if not, you're going to start thinking that your resin's junk. It's not the resin, it's the light. And there we have it, guys. Give me 1 second. I will take it, put it in the tweezers, and get it up close and personal for y'all. As I do for all videos so far. And I'm going to continue that. Whoa, where did it go? Right there. See, that's so real, it's trying to fly away. Now you know you're doing it right when they're trying to fly away from you. There you go. That is a golden stonefly. And I mean, it's so nice. So nice. And it's pretty easy. It's a lot of fun to do. So I would encourage y'all to look up the Pro Sportfisher stonefly kits and give these a try. You won't believe what you can do with those. And there's the biots in the back. Everything looks great. That's a beautiful, beautiful fly. And I'm going to set it down. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you liked what you saw today and you enjoyed yourself, please like this video. And then if you don't mind, please subscribe to me. I'm trying to get to 1,000 followers so I can go live with you guys and interact with you. I could go live now. All you need is 25. I've already been verified. But the thing is I'll only be able to have 25 people in the room and no one will be able to comment. And I like to, talk back and forth and answer any questions. And, you never know what might come up. But thank you guys so much for being here. God bless.